Hello! Yeah, the Rapscallions are back. I'm joined by JArkhamReviews.
Hello!
And it's not classic series.
No, this is a top 10 New Who video, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've been marathoning the new series.
I have. I'm just about up to series 4, and you know, I think everything after that's quite fresh in my memory, so yeah. I feel that right now we could do a little top 10 of what is current in our little top 10 minds.
Now, this list is probably going to change within the time this video goes out, because that's what happens. And remember, opinions are opinions. This is our list. We're not saying this is the definitive.
Yeah,
because our lists are going to be similar, I feel.
Yeah, and if your number one isn't mine, then you're just fucking wrong still.
I'm going to be wrong then, am I? So yeah, I feel ready. Should we just get cracking? Right. Number 10, you're the guest. Go first.
My number 10 is quite a popular one, and it's one that I didn't really fully appreciate until like a couple years ago, I guess. And on this rewatch again, I just think it's a superb episode, and it is the episode where I think David Tennant comes into his own as the Doctor, and that is Girl on the Fireplace.
Yeah, I like that.
Because with David Tennant, I think the utter best version of his Doctor is from Christmas Invasion School Reunion. He's very vengeful, but then we get into Girl on the Fireplace, and it is that story where it allows David Tennant's Doctor to be a bit more like that traditional, vague caricature of the Doctor. That silhouette that you see, but represented in a personality.
Fun fact, I've met that horse.
Have you?
Yeah, I used to do little stunt shows back up in the Shire.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's class, that.
So I've met Arthur, who's the horse.
Oh, and you've met Tennant, so you've met nearly the main cast of that, and you've met Billy.
Met Billy.
So you're nearly complete with the Girl on the Fireplace range.
Yeah, I mean, the Clockwork Droids, I think, were fantastic.
Absolutely. The Clockwork Droids are an absolute statement of the RTD era, completely and utterly, because they are such a wonderful and weird concept. The design of them, with that sort of French Revolution look to them. It
works well with the masquerade feel to them,
exactly, and the creepy ticking of them when they come towards you, and also very violent. Yeah,
reveal. Like, that's a little jump scare, isn't it, when it's under the bed, like,
yeah,
that's
scary. I remember watching that in 2006, and I was 6 years old at the time, and I was on the absolute edge of the couch, because like just like the Doctor being that kind of person who comes into your room to save you from your nightmares.
That's what you dream of, isn't it?
Exactly, completely. And then you're just seeing somebody get that. It definitely something that the writers and the production team, they've all dreamt about that when they were children, because I think that's what makes the RTD era just the best, because it's from their own personal relationship with Doctor Who as well.
It's a story what you appreciate as a kid because it's a monster story.
Yeah.
But now it's got the sexual undertones, what you don't notice as a kid, but now you kind of, but they're not there. And it kind of helps that Tennant was going out with the person who played Madame de Pompadour.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
You see her in the David Tennant video diaries at Doomsday, going, what's a Dalek? And Tennant's going, this is the suckers for manipulating computer, and like he's proper geeking out. It's great.
And with Girl on the Fireplace, the relationship aspect of it, I feel just it just completely works, because it's not too much, it's not too little. It's just
like
on the mark,
isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. I think it's a bit like the TV movie. Do you know, with that tone of like, what if like the Doctor got with someone?
Yeah,
I feel it's like that, and I feel that it makes sense for the Doctor to fall in love with someone from history, because he's a time traveller, isn't he? Why is every one of his like little love interest from the 21st century? Why can't he go out with, of course, Madame de Pompadour?
Yeah.
And then
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. I think the Moffat ones really missed the mark for me, because it's like it kind of just like, oh, it's a person, it's a historical figure, but with this it explores her as a person, and it makes you respect her, understand her. You hear her viewpoints on the political climate, how she takes charge in the ballroom when that's under fire, and I absolutely love the
music score's great.
Oh, the music's fantastic, Madame Pompadour's theme. But my favourite moment in the episode is when, so what do monsters have nightmares about? Me. And then it goes round, and I'm just like, that's absolutely on the ball. What's your number 10 then?
I was promised tea. It's one of the most British episodes, and this list for me, I wanted to talk about the underdog episodes, stories what you might not appreciate, but make you want to go, oh, I want to give that another go. So mine is Victory of the Daleks.
Oh, okay.
I think it's one of the most British episodes out there. For me, it's what the Daleks are. The Ironsides are what Daleks are to me. The Genesis Daleks are mini tanks, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're war machines. An Ironside is literally a mini tank.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and I just love the whimsical feel of it. It's got a beautiful whimsical feel. It's very British. The chemistry between Ian McNeice and the Doctor, well, Matt's the Doctor and Churchill are great because you believe that they have interacted before. And obviously Beast Below's got a great little build up to that.
Yeah, and it's like that little thing of, like, you can imagine what Doctor was the one who met him. I just love the
visually
utter
pleasing
tone of it, and Doctor Who does World War II fantastically.
Yeah.
It's why I love The Empty Child and The Doctor Lancers. It's the tone of it that it just works so well, and it doesn't even try to be Empty Child, Doctor Lancers.
Yeah.
That story takes place completely at night. That's a different part of the war, yet we get to see a London in the day.
I feel like Matt brought the fear factor back to the Daleks. Because
Yeah.
that scene when he encounters the Daleks, you're like, that is oh crap, this is big. Like Tennant was like, oh, you can do nothing.
Yet he's terrified
Yeah.
of the Daleks.
And I
That
think he sells the fear
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, but he doesn't. It's like he's putting on a face to
Yeah.
be tough, but deep down, you know, he's
Like
terrified.
he's constantly going to Churchill, this is a bad idea, you've got to go. Stop it
Yeah.
now. And I just, like, the whole Spitfire sequence, I love it because it fits the tone of Series 5. It's that whole fairy tale. It's the episode what you want as a kid.
Yeah.
What you can do in a playground. It's great. The Paradigm Daleks. I think one of the best ideas, and it's the one time Moffat shouldn't have listened to fans.
Yeah, it's so
Because
strange. Yeah.
if we actually got the Paradigm, we would have had the 21st century remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah.
If the plan went ahead.
Oh, it completely irritates me how the Paradigm weren't used. Sure, the hunch is weird, but they literally got rid of that in Asylum of the
They
Daleks.
were meant to be, akin to the Cushing films. Like,
Yes.
there's a DVD extra, and Gators like, we wanted
Yeah.
to do the Peter Cushing.
I remember watching The
Nod.
Confidential after that episode, and I was just like, yes, on the mark.
Yeah.
And if you played City of the Daleks back in the
Yeah,
day,
you
which was
were.
advertised at the end of
Literally,
that
yeah,
episode,
yeah.
God, I remember I was like,
Right.
there's a Doctor Who game coming out.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental times. And I remember playing that, and you just see them as the Daleks. They're threatening. Oh, yeah, but do you know what? Victory of the Daleks, I can see that as number 10.
I just think it's just an episode what I've probably watched ungodly amount. It's got a beautiful character drama with Bracewell realising, he's a slave of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Karen Gillan's beautiful, deactivating the bomb.
Yeah.
About Isabella, I think it is.
There is an absolute reason that Karen Gillan is the standout companion for expanding
I've got
into...
goosebumps. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah,
literal goosebumps.
goosebumps on him.
Literal
And
goosebumps.
you can tell why Karen Gillan was the standout of the
Yeah.
companions for acting,
Yeah.
and why she got a role in Guardians of the Galaxy, because she can convey so much emotion. World's Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls.
That's later on my list, that one.
Is it?
Yeah, that's later down.
Okay, so we will talk about that when we get to yours then.
Alright, my number 9 is only in Scotland.
Oh, is
Tooth
it?
and Claw.
Oh,
I have a weird fascination with this. I watched it literally yesterday. I loved it. I feel like this is the best Tennant Rose story.
really?
I feel like it's the best dynamically for them because it's basically them being busy mates. That scene with the TARDIS going, right, the Muppet Show, let's go to Sheffield
Yeah.
and watch it. And basically, throughout the story, you've got a little bet on between the Doctor and Rose going,
Yeah.
right, can we get Queen Victoria to say, not amused? And
I
Rose's like,
love
well, I'm a time traveller, I can't do this. But
And it just helps
Tennant.
with the sheer writing force
Yeah.
of that time. Series 2 gets a lot of shit. Like, I think the second half of Series 2 really is a dip in quality, but the first half I love,
Yeah.
and it is for the characters.
yeah.
Because they know how to write that fun dialogue. You can imagine that these two are absolute best friends because they were.
Yeah.
On set, Billy and Piper and David Tennant, they're absolutely just all over each other with friendship, and they got on incredibly well with Russell. And even though I think the production, and you were talking about to me on the bus
Yeah.
before, even though the production was all miffed for that series,
Yeah,
I
pretty
think
much buggered.
the actors were completely paying for it.
Yeah. We've got to talk about the elephant in the room, the werewolf. The werewolf, I think, still stands up.
Yeah.
Like
Surprisingly, yeah.
you look at some CGI for Series 1, like the Slovene two-parter, it's not...
Yeah.
I hate to judge a story on that, but I don't. But it's kind of noticeable in that.
And that's the shot you're talking about when it bursts down the door, does
Yeah.
that little dynamic thing,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
runs off.
But yeah, Tooth and Claw I think is brilliant. The way the werewolf kills, like the bit with the guard, and you just see him being mauled and shredded apart. And a bit of what I really like is that you've got the monster bit and the ghost story for a kid, because it's when Queen Victoria's talking about spooky stories, and it's like, oh, the scares is to scare the kid, but for us adults, it's for us to hope that there is an afterlife.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's lost Prince Albert, and there's quite a deep-rooted thing, and obviously this story is about Prince Albert with the diamond, so it all links back to that with the telescope. But yeah, it's just, what a great start. You've got the whole acrobats with the monks and just taking over the host, who turns into the werewolf, is fantastic.
Just stopping you with the monks, that visual is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And doesn't it remind you of like during like 2006? Yeah. And I remember that in the trailers and the TV spots, the monks flipping over in the red. And I just think it's such a fantastic directional contrast with the grey of the walls outside. It's a stunning sequence. Beautiful. Utterly.
And what I noticed is that it happens every 3 years because the monks steal somebody. They take somebody, and that's quite a creepy idea, because they take a young boy from their homestead. And being a young boy watching that, I was like, please don't take me away. And there's a little TARDIS. Have you seen the little TARDIS ode for it?
No, I haven't.
It's basically the little meteorite falling down and the werewolf attacking the farmer, what starts the whole myth.
Yeah.
And
I've seen this.
It's a great little minisode. What you don't need to watch for Tooth and Claw, and you can still enjoy Tooth and Claw on its own, but to have that little minisode and then watch Tooth and Claw, makes it complete. And it sets up the toxicity of bloody Rose and Ten, because like, you're not suitable. Like Queen Victoria, like, I don't care who you are, you laugh at the face of danger. Get off my world. Yeah. Like, it sets up the inevitable downfall for them.
Yeah. And I was talking to Ben about this, and I even put on Twitter, after my rewatch of Series 2, I really like the Ten Rose story, and this is coming from someone who not fussed on romance, because everybody misunderstands what the story is, and I think it is because of, do you know, all the people on Tumblr back then were like, oh, pep. The story is about them being completely incompatible. It's about them being absolutely too dangerous, and it is the line in Army of Ghosts from Jackie where she says, you even look like him. And that is such a powerful line. And then she talks about
the little weather thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And she talks about how there's going to be some woman on a meteor 1,000 years out, but she's not going to be Rose Tyler. And I think that's completely and utterly powerful. And she had her chance to...
It's kind of what Clara was trying to be.
Yeah, it is the Clara story done absolutely right. But Series 2 Rose, while she is a complete step down from Series 1 Rose, I still think that she's a dynamic character. One of the things that keeps that is the atmosphere with Tennant. And I love the costumes for them in Tooth and Claw. I love Tennant's little...
that's one of my favourite variants for him.
Yeah. And I love Rose's outfit in it as well. It completely fits the
wee naked child I've been chasing over a hill.
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Strange beastie.
I also love the final... little bit, and it's when
them walking to the TARDIS, and the royal families of
and they love hunting. Oh, that was fantastic!
And it sets up the Torchwood Institute properly, isn't it?
Yeah, first mentioned in a was it mentioned at one point? Long game, wasn't it? Yeah.
There we are, number 9.
Okay, so number 8. Oh, mine is The 11th Hour.
Again, that's on the list.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we're going to talk about that in a minute then. So what's yours now?
My number 8 is I Want to Kiss It to Death. It's Under the Lake and Before the Flood.
Oh my god, like pitchforks are coming at you right now.
But here's my... Capaldi works in stories what are classic based. He's a very classic Doctor put in a new series format. Under the Lake and Before the Flood is a very classic story. And I tell you why. You've got the gothic horrorness in the form of the ghost from Philip Hinchcliffe. You've got the Base Under Siege from the Patrick Troughton era. Yeah. Merge those together with Capaldi, you get the wonderful combination what is that story.
And you've also got like...
and you have
the semi-political element, which is very relevant with, I could say, the writing of Malcolm Hulke, or that in the Troughton era.
Very true.
With that little commentary.
But you've got the new series aspect of time. And what's quite interesting watching this back again, the Doctor's already solved the problem because he's in that little white casket. Yeah. So it's basically him trying to figure it all out, even though he's already solved it. Yeah. Prentice, the little mole guy, he's probably looks the most creepiest because he's in that Victorian get-up as an undertaker or whatever it is. Just the ghosts have done really well. The supporting cast, the deaf person. That scene in Before the Flood where you basically see the axe drag and you see like the sound off it. Brilliantly done. You
Yeah.
know, with the axe is dragging on the floor.
Yeah.
It's done really well. The Fisher King, underused.
I think that costume is fantastic. That is a absolute callback to when that RTD original, that wonderful design.
Yeah.
And I can't remember a costume before that and in a long time, especially in Paldier, that was that ambitious.
I just feel like even if it's an episode you love, you can still go, yeah, that was a bit crap. And I think that's the beauty of this story. Because, yeah, it does have its flaws, but it has a brilliant cliffhanger because you've got basically the Doctor and Clara separated. The Doctor's going to go, right, I'm going to figure out what is this mystery. But then you've got Clara on the phone going, oh, there's a ghost of you. So it kind of goes, what happened to the Doctor?
Yeah.
So it's a brilliant one.
And that I do remember the cliffhanger for that, and it did keep you on the edge. Because I prefer the second part. I'm
I
not
like
fussed on the first part,
it's
but
just the build-up.
yeah, I think I'm the only one who likes the second part more. But yeah, I think you've made a pretty strong case for that,
That's
actually.
why I like it, because it's classic Who mixed with new.
Yeah.
And it blends it all perfectly together. That's my number 8. Number 7, hit me.
Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords. In my opinion, the second best finale in all of New Who. I love it so much. Right, just saying, what I don't like about it is the Doctor being aged. It's a bit of a silly thing, and it never really made much sense to me. With RTD wanted a younger Master because you have a younger Doctor, and I think that's maybe why Last of the Time is my favourite that trilogy, because that's when we see that dynamic so brilliantly. And I am going to tell everyone off about Martha Jones, because everybody says about Martha Jones being a wasted character and that RTD didn't like her, which I completely disagree with. The story of her was about her being learning her confidence as herself, as a person.
To love herself.
Exactly. And RTD did not hate this character or treat her unfairly. He brought her back in Torchwood. He brought her back for Series 4, and he didn't even bring her back for the Sontaran episode. Everyone seems to forget she was in the Doctor's daughter in a really crucial part of that one.
Yeah, oh, good old Half-Peck.
Yeah.
Papa bless.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, half-peck. Two-parter. You start with inherently the most three-part, sorry, with the most classic New Who episode ever.
Enjoy saying a 3-parter.
Yeah, a 3-parter, because that sounds and I love that because it's felt like the classic.
Yeah.
Because with this 3-part, you start with inherently the most New Who style, you start with the most classic Who style New Who story in Utopia. It is such a classic story with just this one it's really just one location, isn't it?
Basically the silo, isn't it?
Yeah, this is how classic Who always starts. You start outside and go inside, and then that's the story.
Yeah.
And it completely does that. And I love the threat of the future kind. I love that is...
They scared me.
And I love the reflection of that is what we could end up as. You know, it's a bit of a Black Mirror story. What's the human race going to be like at the end of the universe? I love Tennant's line about the human race, and he does his little Tom Baker Indomitable, which I think is a classic reference done completely right, because it's not done for the sake of it. I love Derek Jacobi. I love Yana.
I wanted more. That's my problem. I wanted more of them.
And I've been watching, the reason I've been doing this is watching it with my girlfriend, and oh my god, her heart's broken. She described him as a sweet old watchmaker for Yana, and then when he turned out to be the Master and he killed...
That's very good with classic, with the reveal with the watch, like, open me.
Yeah, and you get to say, obey me, and you will give your power to me. And you hear Anthony, and when he kills Chantho. Yes, Chantho. And she was just like, oh my god. And he just becomes a character you would love to hate. And then we move on to...
Very painful regeneration, isn't it?
Yeah.
The scream, oh.
Because, and this is my little defence of John Simm. John Simm is low-key my second favourite Master. Because it utterly... Right, but because Alex and Queen didn't exist then. At that point.
Yeah, that's true.
The Master timeline was that he hadn't had a proper body since Delgado, and then he was crawling around as a husk for years, and we don't know how long at that point because obviously it's not been that explored. And then he's stealing bodies from Anthony Ainley, and obviously it's implied Anthony Ainley is killed in the TV movie, and then he's killed in the TV movie, and then resurrected for the time. Well, John Simm just becomes this utter arsehole who you just love to hate because it's that power dynamic of what the Pertwee era was. Because the Pertwee era, it was always the Master clamoring for the power because the Doctor had it. He had unit, he had backup. This time, the Master's in control of everything. He has the army.
He had that
he's
time
probably,
away, didn't he?
Yeah, he's probably yeeted unit away.
He did torture, didn't he? He got rid of torture and Tibet.
He sent them little what did he say? A wild goose chase in the Himalayas. And it's this little neo-political story on the run. I love the little commentaries on Parliament. Downing Street rebuilt. You've got the continuity there from when it was destroyed in the Slovene three-parter.
I like to build up with Martha's family because throughout series 3 you get little glimpses that something's not right with the family, isn't it? Like 42 is the big thing,
and it starts in Lazarus Experiment where they come to
Saxon, isn't it?
Yeah, and it leaves the little voicemail. And I said, so this information is from Harold Saxon himself, and that's we're starting to hear it, we're hearing it more. And the Master Doctor dynamic, the phone call scene, in my absolute top 10 for New Who scenes.
You've got possibly, the clang of it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, with the Teletubbies.
Yes, the clangers of the
It's a wonderful tribute to the Master. It makes sense that John Simm is a mental master, you know, he's fine in that young body. He can be as eccentric as he wants, really, because he's got loads of money. I love, like, the little hints that his wife is under hypnosis.
She does look a bit spaced out.
Yeah.
Right.
And it gets really dark when you go to Last of the Time. She's got, like, a black eye and, like, a cut lip. So he's obviously, like, hit her. You
don't notice that as a kid, though, do you? You don't notice those little
He's
details.
an utter arsehole. And it's, in my opinion, John Simm's Master is the best villain New Who has ever had. He literally gets everything he wanted because the Weeping Heroes didn't get the TARDIS. The Dalek Emperor in Bad Wolf and the Part of the Waste, he ended up getting destroyed. As much as I love that villain, you know, he lost to something that was completely unforeseen by everybody. But the Master, he crippled everybody, and he only wins because of something that he couldn't see with the Archangel Network. A resolution I don't really think makes much sense. But then you get to... Well, you don't really care about that because you have the dynamic of Martha. I love the... when she's wandering the wastelands. And you get...
Tocklefane.
Yeah. You see the statues and the Tocklefane, like, roaming around. It's a proper threat.
And that woman's deaf and sound of drums, like, he's open the door screaming, oh no, which is something a few minutes
it's like
it's grim, but it's black comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the sick black comedy of the Master. This has been a complete and utter ramble, but I just cannot put into words how much I love this three-parter. Last of the Time was... It's not the best. It's a little bit too fast-paced, but it's got some amazing scenes. Like the Sister Sisters scene and the breakout scene's fantastic. Martha finally coming into her own as a person, because that's her story. It's why not do the rebound story? Russell wanted to bring this into the real world. Give something that people can relate to. And then she realised, I don't think the TARDIS life is right for me anyway, because it destroyed her family and it's got impact in Partners in Crime. Donna goes, so we've been travelling, but I had this friend Martha, ends up destroying half her life.
Blind Martha.
Yeah, and it's just history there. Important episode. Brought the Master back at completely and utterly the right time.
Right, my number 7 is Charles Dickens' Unquiet Dead. Brilliant story. This is the story where I knew I was properly a Doctor Who fan. Yeah. Up until that point, I wanted to watch it, but this is the example of this is my behind the sofa story. This is one where I was physically terrified, but I wanted to keep watching it. Yeah. I kept switching over and not back to it, but it's a story what I couldn't watch for a good 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Me and my friend, come round and like going, right, we're going to watch this. We're big boys now. First scene, as soon as Mrs. P strangles her grandson, like. We were out there like a shot. We just couldn't do it. It's just one of the perfect Christmas episodes. Yeah. I just love the whole Dickens feel, the whole Victoriana ghost story. It just fits it brilliantly. I feel like Mark Gatiss, this was a labour of love, him writing this story. And the Doctor, he's not the Doctor we all know and love yet, because he's still broken. Because he's like, why can't they have the dead bodies? I don't see any problem. Yeah. Because this is the first time where we see the repercussions of the Time War. Yeah. Like, we get a bit in the end of the world, but this is when we get there's a whole civilization gone out there. Yeah. I'm gonna put things right. This is the Doctor trying to be the Doctor what he once was.
And I love what he says to Rose. It's like, it's a different mentality. If you don't like it, you go home. And he tells her straight, this is what the universe is like. Things may not be fair, but you've got to do what you've got to probably do. And I love the Gelt being the remnants of the Time War.
And the fact that it's a little
literally
kid.
haunt him.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And the fact that it's a little kid as well, it's quite terrifying. The makeup for the zombies,
Yeah.
brilliant. And I just
It's got a little bit of the talons of Wayne Changfield. You know,
Does.
Charles is performing, and then he's just like, it looks like that. And then she's just there, and everyone's just like, oh shit. That scene's absolutely class.
And you've got Mr. Sneed going, oh, we've got another one. it's just like every day, just got fucking zombies go, come on.
It's fantastic because it is a bit like that classic. It just throws you into this environment of things that have been going on.
And it's just the bit where Rose steps out of the TARDIS. That's the past. She's stepping in history.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And she says, Christmas 18, whatever. This never happened again. It's here and now, and she's going back to revisit it. I love how the clothes changing, but it gives the charm of the Doctor. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And the balls down the bins. It's fantastic.
And then you watch your Finn Ice, isn't it? It's exactly the same direction.
Yeah. I love the decision of basing it around Cardiff.
Yeah.
And of course it was filmed in Swansea, which is RTD.
Ironic, yeah.
Yeah, RTD's hometown. Yeah. And he, as a kid on the commentary, he's like, always wanted Doctor Who story to come film in Swansea, and I'm getting to do it. It's brilliant. It's a passion project, Series 1, and it is inherently the best series of Doctor Who ever. Because of
most consistent, definitely.
Yeah, because of the pure consistency of it. Like, it may not be your favourite, but just with it is
you can't argue with the stuff it does.
Yeah, it's a completely groundbreaking series, and
it grounds it, but it's not grounded. If that makes sense.
Yes, it's set in reality, but it's completely superbly different to everything on television time, because Star Trek Enterprise was there in 2005 at the same time competing with Doctor Who.
There's like Babylon 5 and Farscape, all that type of stuff to compete with.
And I think what RTD saw was all these shows like Star Trek, they get away from the Earth to explore the universe. Why don't we explore what is amazing and horrible about our world?
But it doesn't feel like it's all on Earth, does it?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that.
It's only when you have that revelation, shit, it's all on...
Or just on orbit of Earth.
Especially with Series 1, because you actually care. It's the story of the Earth along with the story of the Doctor and both people of the planet, seeing them evolve throughout history. It's showing the viewer what they will become and what they once were. And Unquiet Dead, I think it's a massive part of that little machine that shows.
Number 6, here we go, Colin Baker.
This is going to piss everyone off, but I'm going to defend the story to death. Now, this would be number 5, but the story I'm going to... the story that for number 5,
I've got
I
a
just
feeling
felt...
what it is.
Yeah, do you know what it is? But the story for number 5, I just feel that rounded, I may regret not putting it further, so I'm just going to put this in a safe space. Definitely top 10, Love and Monsters. Completely and utterly Love and Monsters. It may have been too early to do a self-referential story.
I thought it was going to be Boomtown.
Really?
I was expecting Boomtown, because you said it was Series 1. I was like, it's got to be Boomtown.
I love Boomtown, but Love and Monsters for me, I think, is a superb story. It may have been a bit too early, but everyone misses the subtext of it, and it's when I met you and the group through Whovian High Council, because that is what it is. The group, Linda, it's the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, and no one sees
and Ian
that.
Levy's off.
It's your Doctor Who Society in uni. It's whatever. You meet people with Doctor Who through conventions. It is the production team's experience of Doctor Who, because you meet people through it and then you learn more about each other. You talk about personal stuff, whatever. It becomes what it is to be a fan. And they may be hunting down the Doctor, but the subtext is still there. And I think every character is completely memorable.
Do you know what? I've never thought of it like that.
Really?
I just thought it was just a bit of fluff in Series 2.
No,
it
makes sense, doesn't it?
It's kind of made me want to go and rewatch it.
Yeah, and all the characters I think are so engaging. Elton, I love Elton so much. He is absolutely one of my favourite side characters in Doctor Who, just because we learn about him. He's a human person. I love writing where we get to know people as people. They're not just a character. He's a person, and that bit is done fantastically, where it's just like, yeah, but it's not all just spaceships and aliens. I like football, going down the pub, Spain, and I love the Electric Light Orchestra. And Mr. Blue Sky will forever be the song from Love and Monsters for me. And they even use at the end of the story the dramatic bit of when
the end of the song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the end of the song, and it feels like a Murray Gold track. And it's literally, it only reminded myself of it. I was listening to it the other month, and that's at the end of it's the same thing. And it's why that you just get your friends through Doctor Who, and like me and you, we would not know each other without Doctor Who completely. And look at us, we're like completely and utterly best mates.
Yeah, besotted by this show.
Exactly, and it's literally all because of this stupid thing. And Mr. Kennedy, you know, it can be a representation of, you know, maybe that person who tries to get a little bit too control within, like, your group. And say in your uni meetings, that person who dictates, you know, what you're trying to do and stops being fun for everybody. It can be a representation of the future commercialisation of conventions. And yeah, I just think it's an utterly self-aware thing. I love Ursula, Mona Myrtle from Harry Potter. The acting range of her, I just think's wonderful. And the Absorbaloff, it's the campy, stupid season 17 monster. It's Doctor Who. You're acting like Doctor Who's like this utterly serious show. As Battlement March said, it's camper than a row of tents.
It's true.
And you have the Absorber and Peter Kay. Everyone's like, oh yeah, but he overacts. That's the fucking point. Like, it's meant to be this...
like chicken.
Exactly. It's meant to be the stupid, campy villain that we have. It's Soldies. It's all these people. And then when he comes in with the entrance, it's...
Don't touch me, no.
It's eczema. It's absolutely fantastic. Peter Kay had a ball on that set. I think it was a great thing for kids to have the Blue Peter competition to make the Absorbaloff. And it's just... It's a wonderful, heartfelt story, and I love...
It's Russell's love letter to the show, I feel.
Yes, completely. It's utterly the love letter to the show.
It's him going, you're this camp thing, but I love you so much.
Exactly.
Well, continuing the Series 2 theme, I have School Reunion, Sarah Jane Smith.
That's on one of my honourable mentions, but let's talk about this now.
This is Sarah Jane finally getting the closure she deserves. Because you think about it... Hello?
There's no one in your contacts matching Sarah Jane.
I wish there was.
Oh, Sarah, you were my Sarah Jane Smith. I'm keeping my ears. But it's the closure Sarah Jane needed because obviously she came back in the Five Doctors.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the Doctor who let her go.
Yeah.
So she couldn't have that discussion going, why did you leave me? It was Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So this is where it's the closure within it. And I knew as a kid this episode was a big thing.
Yeah, because obviously with Doctor Who Confidential it's set up perfectly.
Yeah.
It's why I love the Ultimate Guide. In 2005 it was the little compilation of everything, and it had the scenes of Sarah and the Doctor. I've lost my sonic screwdriver. I've got your sonic screwdriver. What would I do without you? And you knew how important this character was. Everyone talked about the impact of this character in Sarah Jane's memorial thing on CBBC, which I watched religiously. I recorded that, and I've watched it. And David Tennant talks about getting to work with her was a dream come true.
I feel like Tennant is not acting throughout that story.
Exactly.
It's just him being fanboy after fanboy. He's like, oh, my Sarah Jane Smith. And like K9, when he sees K9, beautiful moment. And instantly, as a kid, you're like, I want to remote control K9.
Yeah. And according to the little forward, that was the first story David Tennant filmed as the Doctor.
No, I think it's Christmas Invasion.
I think for the
series. Because you can tell because of the hair.
Because in the autobiography, he says... first day as the Doctor, probably for series 2, whatever, and he was nervous because, you know, it's the first full series of the Doctor, like, fuck.
That's another point about Victory of the Daleks. That was Matt's second episode he filmed, second story, and he's owning it. Sorry, I meant to put that in the Victory section.
And he talks about being completely nervous, but he sees a figure from his childhood home across the table, Elizabeth Slade and Sarah Jane Smith, and he becomes that 8-year-old boy watching
that was his
Tom
beans
Baker
on
again.
toast on a Saturday night.
Absolutely, completely. What on this little shitty, possibly black and white telly, watching
Genesis of the Daleks or Terror of Zygons.
Yeah, and Sarah Jane is, she may not be in classic series. She may not be the best companion objectively because you know, even though she brought that humorous and human element to it, it's like she doesn't get the character progression of say Ace or someone like that. But I don't think that there was a character other than Sarah Jane who had as much magic as her.
Yeah.
The only one who could probably argue Jo Grant, but Sarah Jane
I
was
think
the one who
yeah.
always had, I think, the purer, jokey thing
Yeah.
with her and Tom.
I just think there are some real standout moments. I feel like series 2, like you said, early Tennant's best because you've got the scene between Anthony Head and David Tennant in the swimming pool. It's brilliant, and you've got the bit in the computer room going, "Would you be a god doctor?"
Yeah.
Join us. And it's just that moment of going, he's considering it.
Yeah, because
and you've got, and going back to what you said about Love and Monsters, this is kind of classic fans meet new fans.
Yes.
It's kind of that bridging of going, look, the Doctor's kind of the person in the middle, what we all love, and he's trying to be the referee going, look, can we all just get along?
Yeah.
It's kind of that trying to gel us all together and be acceptive of all fans, but we love the same thing, but we want to lock together.
And I think the subtext of Anthony Head, I think, is actually great because the reason Doctor Who came back is because Russell was a massive fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Anthony Head was a main figurehead in Buffy the Vampire Slayer playing Giles, and it's really cool that he actually got a role in Doctor Who because, that's shown that a team show... a show about a team for teens.
Well, this is
can work.
Scooby-Doo. This is Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
This is literally Scooby-Doo.
The Krillitane, wonderful villain.
They seem like a monster what were in the classic series, and then when you find out they're not, you feel like, oh, because you feel like they belong in kind of season 17, that kind of...
What Doctor do you think they were with?
Fourth Doctor, I always thought...
I thought it was 7.
I thought it was kind of like Tom and Romana.
Yeah. The Scooby you can just talk about absolutely all day.
Yeah, I just think it's just... It's got to be on your list because I just feel like it's just a love letter to the classic. It's a love letter to Sarah Jane, Number Davison.
This is one that I rewatched recently, and I think from this point, if I just check my list, a lot of these, what I have on my list, they are kind of genre-breaking things for Doctor Who, and I think that my top 5 is definitely the ones that completely and utterly challenged the genre of what is classic Doctor Who.
Okay.
And that's Blink, which... you asked me last year, I would not pull out my top 10 because I think it got to this point of cultural status where everybody just went off so much and you just go, right, fuck this story. But now I think it's a nice little point with Doctor Who now because we've got a nice starting point for Doctor Who back with Series 11, what everybody says, that's your general audience is coming back. You've got Woman Who Fell to Earth. So while everyone's focusing on that, you've got Blink. Right, if you tell people to start with Blink, no. Yeah, that's like starting with the Buffy episode Hush. It's like starting in the middle of a mad series. You can only appreciate Blink if you understand these characters. And I feel that it was a right place point after Family Blood, which maybe it was a bit too similar.
It was too similar with the scenes of the Doctor going, right, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah. But I don't think it would have fitted anywhere else because I feel from Human Nature and onwards, it's this nice little drama thing. Okay. And what this breaks about the genre of Doctor Who is that this is a Sunday night drama episode with this investigation, and if you cut all the Doctor out, it's like this little horror Black Mirror thing, I guess. The mystery aspect to it, and it's just Moffat completely what I see at his best. It's Stephen Moffat peaked at this episode, and it's because he worked completely better as a singular writer because he didn't have to stretch his out ideas or pad them out too much. There's so many ideas in the story, and it fleshes out perfectly. Sally Sparrow. I love the character. She's one of my favourite side characters.
I don't think she should ever come back.
No,
Big Finish touch her, don't touch her.
She is a one-off character. Met the Doctor once, that's it. That's her important life. And then at the end, she's allowed to move on from that and get on with her without focusing on it. That should be it for her. The character, Sally Sparrow, even though I love her, there's not really inherently special about her. No. But I think that's what works because it's this normal person getting thrown into an episode of Doctor Who. I love that it's this threat that has just fucked over the Doctor and Martha. I love the banter in the DVD extras, in the Easter eggs, and just like, oh, it was just said we were going to this place and now we're stuck in 1963. Can't get home. It just pushes her off the screen. It's very eerie seeing I think David Tennant on the screen, and like this hazy colour sepia tone, and it's a completely directional shift for Series 3. It's where it found its tone because I hate the direction for the first half, but this one it allowed to play with colours of real life. It's not hazed by brown, it's natural, it's old, the tone of it's grey, and it fits with the old house of Dumler whatever it is. And there's the mystery of the house. Her friend Kathy.
The letter go from a grandson, is it?
Yeah, and he's just Sally Sparrow accidentally crushes his world because that's his thing that he got from his grandma. That's past 20 years of her life being built up, and she died in the 90s. Oh no, she must have 20 years. She must have died in the late 80s, 7. And it's quite sad. You get to explore who Kathy really is once she's gone back in time. I love the character of Billy, the police officer she meets, because he's already inherently quite charming guy.
Yeah.
I'm off duty, pretty girl, give her a drink. And I like that she's just like, you know what? Sure, even though my friend's just died, but you know. And I love the tragedy of him. And when he meets the doctor, and you kind of a bit angry at the doctor for that, because I'm sorry, but it's going to take you a long time to get the message to her. Because the message should only be for her. And unfortunately, you can't put it on the DVD extras because obviously you've got all the team of nerds analysing it, which again, it's a little allegory for Gallifrey base, isn't it? There, the tragedy of seeing him in the hospital, and I love that it was raining the day I met you, and it just goes to the same rain. It's just like, oh, this is it, the day I die. And then there's the shot, and then it cuts to the wide shot again, to contrast with the previous establishing shot where the bed's empty now, and the rain stopped, and the light's coming up, and that's when she goes, right, fucking action. Now this episode I didn't see when it aired because I think it was in Legoland, but I knew I didn't want to see it. I knew it was scary, and it was when it came in the sun.
You watched it?
Do you remember the little DVDs for that? And I watched that, and it got to the point where the Weeping Angels, the big jump scare in the third act, went, nah, fuck it, off, and I didn't watch it for a while. And
unpopular opinion of Doctor Who, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't like it. I never got the fuss of it. I think it's probably the worst Weeping Angel, but maybe, is it the worst? I don't know. But I feel like the Series 5 Weeping Angel story does it better. I think as a kid, I was at a camping trip.
Yeah.
I was like, Doctor Who was the one thing I was looking forward to getting home for. I was like, right, Doctor Who. Like, I think that's what I've got psychological trauma from. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting Doctor Who. I want Doctor Who. I don't want, you know.
But that's all like taste in Doctor Who, because I really like the drama ones.
Yeah.
You really like what's traditional.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it just gets to a point of that, you know, it just shows how genre breaking this was. So, what is your number 5?
Well, it started with a carrot on Mars. Is there life on Mars? It's Waters of Mars.
Yeah.
I just think it's one of probably the best Tennant episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like this is, for me, it's the last time RTD had the flair. Because the whole Gadget thing, the bit where it's basically the Doctor and Adelaide on the back of Gadget, it just has that RTD flourish, what you don't have again, I feel. The story is brilliant. It's very dark. The whole idea of just one single drop is all it takes, and just the person called I think it's Maggie, like, she's the worst flood, because it's just, her eyes aren't changed, but they're all like all over the place, and it's just like the scream when she's let out of the isolation. It's just terrifying. It's just brilliant. Base Under Siege, just wonderful, and the transition for it, because the more the Doctor stays, the more the news headline changes, and it's a brilliant way of going, time's fucking up here. I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And throughout the story, the Doctor's like, I really should go, but go on then. Like,
I really like just that whole aspect of the Doctor going too far.
It's like, that's the whole theme of the story, the laws of time.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, I shouldn't be here, but when he gets to the end, he's like, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
I'm the survivor. Screw the laws of time. They're going to obey me, to quote that meme.
And it's the arc of Tennant's era. It started in School Reunion, and it started the dilemma of, why can't you just go back in time? And he's tempted by it.
Yeah.
He's utterly tempted by it, but by the Headmaster's offer, by Anthony Head's offer. And then I rewatched Fires of Pompeii, and he does that little thing of like, went on and said, just why do you have to keep it the same? It's because it's the fixed point. My people would stop this, but I'm the only one now. The burden is on me. Yeah. And it's that lovely, just little arc of just what if the Doctor goes too far.
And I just love that bit between Adelaide where he's just by the flood, you know, the glacier, and he's just like, I've told you too much. Like, he's basically telling her about her family, you know, she's
Yes.
gonna die. And he's like, why did you tell me? He's like, it's a reconciliation. You know, to say, look, you're gonna die here, but it's not gonna end.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful because it's just the way it's done. It gets so tense, like the main dome gets flooded. It's just got so many things going on, and just the bit with the Dalek saying it knew something was greater for us. Like that. It was great how it plays with the Dalek, why the Dalek didn't kill her. It's done really well, and I think that this is Tennant would have been a brilliant regeneration story. Could you imagine if he got infected by the flood?
Yeah,
Imagine that type of story for a regeneration, that he's infected and the only thing he's got left is to regenerate.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have made a wonderful last story for him.
Yeah, because I was thinking that when you're talking about the episode starting off, and it's when he sees the dude and saying, I've gone too far. Like, what if you literally just went into the TARDIS and just regenerated like that on the floor?
It's just really clever how we are 60% water. Using, and this is why I love stories where they take something from our everyday life and they use it against us, and I think that's why I love this episode so much. Tom Baker, number 4.
My one is from Series 4, and it's my opinion the best episode in Series 4, Turn Left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, didn't expect that.
Yeah, completely and utterly Turn Left. Again, another genre breaking one.
I actually like this one, so it's alright.
Yeah. And again, I think it's the right time for a recap story. It's like RTD really knew, right? It didn't really work for Little Monsters with the main audience, but this time, 4th series, everyone knows about these things. Let's go back and do a what
And
if.
I think you've actually got the character you've been following in the form of Donna, and obviously you built a family up in Series 4, so it works a lot better.
Yeah. And it's lovely revisiting all these things of like, what if the Doctor died there? Because
it goes back to the 5 Doctors line, what the Master says, the universe without the Doctor barely scares thinking about.
Exactly, yeah. And shows the importance of her, even though, you know, I think her character's very broken in Runaway Bride, because I don't think it was the plan for African Companion yet, so it was just a bit like, oh, let's just have
somebody
Captain
called Penny, didn't you, for Series 4 originally?
So with Donna, her character's fleshed out and grown completely so much, and like Fires of Pompeii that we were talking about on the bus before, it's a completely superb story for Catherine Tate to just get her acting chops in there, prove why she is this fantastic actress who's not just comedy. The language is just like, I'm tired, I'm so tired, relatable. But you know, Rose in it, I think Series 4 Rose is very broken, but I feel this is the story where we tolerate her the most. Donna Noble's just a completely fantastic character. It's hard to see her family, you know, broken and destroyed.
I just
like
love
that,
when they're living is like it's happening again, like it's the Holocaust. And it's so tragic.
That's a powerful line, isn't it?
And just Bernard Cribbin's underrated actor, I feel like.
Completely. Seeing Sylvia again, just broken like that, and when she calls Donna disappointment, I suppose it was disappointment. Yeah, it's like, shit, things must be bad. It's a wonderful just what if story, the nuclear bomb that goes off in London. Oh, that's rough.
And it links back to Sarah Jane with the trickster as well.
Yeah, completely.
Clever. And the cliffhanger as well with Bad Wolf, brilliant.
And it's hard to see Sarah Jane died on the hospital.
Oh, it's so dark.
Yeah.
So dark.
So, and with the gang dies as well.
Yeah,
I think it was Maria at that point.
Yeah.
She's still there, so it was Maria, Clyde and Luke.
Yeah.
They all suffocated to death on the moon. This episode just things forgiven, and Donna, I feel her character her arc just comes to a close, where she just jumps in front of the thing. It's truck and dies.
It is a really interesting idea, because what happened if you did go that way? What happened if you said yes to that decision? It's very interesting how one tiny event can just change your life like that. I think that's a really powerful thing and what I like about it.
And then you finally, it grips you at the end and said, she's like, I'm gonna turn left, and it shows like everything like reverse and back, and it's
You
wonderful.
just got her running through the street just in mad panic.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a quarter of a mile away, or a mile away. It's wonderful.
It's classic Catherine Tate, that bit.
Definitely one of the best stories in, it's probably in the top 20 stories ever.
Top 20, well,
It's really class.
Okay.
What's your number 4?
The Mondasian Cyberman.
Well done, Time Dr. Falls.
What? This, to me, it is the second best finale.
Really?
The new series.
Yeah,
I just feel like Pandora opens, comes near it, but Big Bang lets it down. I feel like if Big Bang was great, it would probably be my second. But this to me is the best Cyberman story since Earthshock. I feel like this is the best Cybermen ever portrayed. The idea of conversion is done really well. The idea of pain, that's brilliant. And Bill, a character that we've all known and loved, just have a world torn apart.
Yeah.
It's the best Capaldi look. Capaldi's peak Doctor. This is his regeneration story. This is just everything you kind of wanted, really. You've got the nice... It's fan wank in the right moments with blowing up the Cybermen. It's basically the speech about kindness. It works. He's like, I'm not doing it because it's right. I'm trying to help where I can.
Yeah.
I might not be able to save people, but I'm giving them more time.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows the Doctor he's not here to save everyone, but if he can help them in a little way, he'd do it.
Exactly, and this is why this was my number 9, and the fan again to talk about this. It's just such a coming to an end of an era, and it just feels like that because it's what Capaldi wanted for
I
this
feel
thing.
like this is Capaldi kind of... I'm not saying Capaldi never give a bad performance, but I feel like because this is his dream episode, he's kind of going, I'm going to put a little bit extra into this. Like, I just feel like he's really going, right, let's do this.
It's definitely his best performance as the Doctor because he knows that this is it. This is this is
the
show. This
it?
is the show must go on, and it powering through just this horrible dynamic. I'm always fascinated by the concept of a kid. I was also imagining, like, what if the Doctor's companion would turn into a Dalek or a Cyberman?
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps over this.
And the Doctor's companion literally turns into a Cyberman. A concept that, unfortunately, I don't think was played around enough, but it's, again...
The direction for it's very well, the reveal of it is very good. For a one-shot, it's very good.
Yeah, and the tear come out the Cyberman's eye, it's a little bit of a thing of Heather. The tear being Heather. I wasn't that much...
I thought it was a nice little nod to the tear. You know, with later Cybermen have a teardrop, wouldn't they?
It was like it was all a little 3 triangle thing of what it is going to be. I don't like how we didn't see enough of Bill as a Cyberman.
Yeah. Because
I liked the shots of when we see Bill as normal, but I feel there were too many.
I feel like it was kind of like a western, like a Last Chance Saloon, but this is the big shootout. Where you've got, it's literally shot like that when Capaldi's with the Sonic going, without hope, without witness.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally shot like that.
Yeah.
And just the goodbye to Nardole is brilliant, isn't it? It's just that tragedy.
It's right.
Oh, I name a town after you, or a stupid pig, like, I'm counting on it. Yeah. Like, it's just... It just shows the dynamic between them, isn't it?
It's the right ending for those characters. The Nardole, just one of the best New Who companions ever. But their banter was that they just took the piss off each other, and it's a correct way to end it. With Nardole's a shitty person,
he's a snake in it, isn't he? He leaves the Doctor,
and for his ending to be him looking after the kids, it's just a nice, fitting close to an arc for that character. And John Simm coming back. For me, this felt like the first time since End of Time with the Master was back, because Missy, I like her in this episode, but
Series 10, she's the best Missy's ever been done.
Yeah, completely. And John Simm coming back, it really grounds Missy well, and if I'm honest, it just felt like it was a proper return for the Master, because we learn
the best return since Utopia. I feel like this is, for me, the Master. This is the Master.
Yeah, and I feel it just makes you, because you can't really see Michelle Gomez as the Master much, because you don't really learn what happened to the Master afterwards. Like, you don't need to, but this is the episode where we do. It's like the Time Lords killed you and gave you Taz and told you to piss off, really.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a proper continuity
fest, really.
Yeah. John Simm has the best chemistry with Capaldi. Yeah. Completely and utterly. Missy, no problem, the female Master, but I just don't think it was the direction for the character to go for. Because you're not treating it as the same, you're doing it completely different.
Felt like an original villain, really.
Yeah, and then when you finally have John Simm back, it's like, ace.
There you
completely.
You're back.
And it's a nice fitting end to the Master, and this is why there should not be a Master after Missy, because that is a death. That is an end to the Master. And it fits in with Last of the Time Lords, where he says, there's the one thing you can't do, and that's kill yourself. What happens? He literally kills his future. Because he's that stubborn. Because he doesn't want to become that. Yeah. He doesn't want to become an ally to the Doctor, and that's his worst nightmare. So he kills himself over it.
I love the little theories about when Capaldi grabs Missy's hand, like the knife's there. Like, I love that. Like, he knows that Missy's good because she's got the knife.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of, I just think that's great, really.
Rachel Talalay, isn't it?
Yeah,
she absolutely directed her socks off.
The black hole for World Enough and Time, visually beautiful.
The best CGI
time
the
dilation
series has ever had.
The time dilation, really interesting concept as well.
Yeah.
Just throw that in there.
It's just a heartfelt two-parter. It's a love letter to spare parts as well, even though,
it doesn't contradict it in any way.
And again, there's going to be loads of comments going, oh yes, but this story would have been way better if John Simm wasn't in the Next Time trailer. It was leaked beforehand. It would have got to you eventually.
DWSR taking a photo of it.
Exactly. Don't be mad at the people who made the trailers. Be mad at the people who decide to stalk the set and take pictures of John Simm. I knew John Simm was in there from just popping up in my timeline that just so happened to happen. And then we had the news article come out. It would have spread, and it was the best business decision for the BBC to do by putting John Simm in the series, because I don't really think that the finale would have had that many ratings without John Simm being in it. And it's still a surprise to people because people didn't pick up on Razor.
No, I didn't expect
I
it.
picked up on it when creeping through the corridor. I'm like, that's the Master. That's John Simm. You can see his face, and that is him. And I was right. And it feels rewarding. It's the traditional Master of Disguise. It just feels like the Master because it's got the traits of him, and that's where Missy just went completely so wrong, because you've got this wonderful actor in Michelle Gomez. In fact, she can do comedy, she can do drama. She's fantastic.
Just got the right look, hasn't she? She's got the right face.
Yeah, you shouldn't do a Mary Poppins, because that's just not the Master. My favourite bit in that story is when the Doctor gives his heartfelt speech, and the Master just goes, "I wasn't listening to a single word you just said," and you just realise that John Simm is the most evil twat in Doctor Who.
No fucks given there.
Exactly, and that is why he's low-key my second favourite Master, because he just it's everything to him.
Number 3.
This is, I think, the story that kickstarted New Who, and that's Rose. Which I think is completely fit in place for it to be in, because it's what grabbed most current Doctor Who fans. This episode, and the fact that this completely reinvented the genre of what is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It took this, what was a campy show that started to become into more real world in survival, and then expanded upon that more. I love the setting of Council Estate. It's a common thing.
It's more of a soap.
Completely. It just becomes like this little drama soap thing. I love it.
It's kitchen sink drama, isn't it?
Yeah. It may not be the best New Who story, but for me, it's one of my absolute favourites, because just the feeling of watching that story, and how it can be silly at one time, like with Autumn Mickey, and utterly serious at another time. Like when Clive gets really intense about the Doctor. The novelisation, again, is wonderful, pretty much perfect.
Read it if
recreation. I love the quote for Clyde in the novelisation. He's like, all of these people are the Doctor, and they mean everything to me. And that's
Russell speaking out loud.
And Clive, he is that character of the obsessive Doctor Who fan, who knows everything about the show and creeps people out because of it. And I love that it's like
in a shed.
Yeah, I love that it's all in a shed, because it's that thing of your partner makes you put all your Doctor Who stuff in the shed, and just like, another one of them, another Doctor Who fan, one of your nutters, Dad. And because it's relevant, the kids are also relevant, because the reason RTD really started to head start the production of Doctor Who and forced the BBC to do it is because Halloween, when the kid knocked on the door, and then the kids started to ask, what's that behind him? And it's a Dalek. So when the kids stopped knowing what a Dalek was, it was the right time for the show to come back. It's so relevant to being a fan. It takes a very common thing of a 19-year-old girl working in a shop. I'm 19 now. Like, I cannot imagine being whisked off into space and being able to deal with, like, all of that. I was just like, take me home already. It's absolutely
beans on toast.
Yeah. It's like when you watch that as a kid, you're like, Rose 19, job, she's got a life sorted out. You get to this point, it's just like, no, help. The Autons, brilliant. Stellar choice for a villain.
They're just like the perfect reboot, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly, because it's not bring him back like a Cyberman. It's not starting it with something completely unfamiliar, like a brand new villain, because you need to bring back the classic fans a little bit. So reinventing the Autons and their steam consciousness. What a choice. I cannot think of a perfect villain than that. Yeah. Because there's only really one story you can tell with the Autons, but they're not the focus of it. And with the focus on characters, it's just what grips you. It's a nice little fan service to the Autons, but you don't care about what they're doing. You care about what Rose is doing, what the Doctor's doing. Yeah. It reinvents the Doctor as this complete and utter force of nature and a complex space-time event. It's just this person that just cannot be described in mortal terms. The turn of the Earth, and it describes the exact speed of it. It relates to it's even continued Fires of Pompeii where you can see what should be, what shouldn't be, what's right and what's wrong. That's how he knows. And utter force of nature, this thing that is way above us, something that Clive completely can't even grasp. You can only get like this general sense of what he is, and it was a fantastic thing to only have him focused on the Ninth Doctor.
Phil Russell doesn't alienate, does it?
Yeah, and I feel Russell done the right thing for the novelisation by exploring the what if for the other Doctors and seeing like Doctors 1 to 15.
It's more of a fan, isn't it, that book?
It's more of like a little what if. And focused on the Ninth Doctor, it allows us to be gravitated around this one character, and it allows Rose herself to also be gravitated around one character. As much as I love the scene in the novelisation, I much prefer what's in the episode because it's relevant. The Doctor is... you can tell he's different. Even not even the reinvention, just the attitude of him. You know something's wrong. The costume designer, she just went, it can be anywhere from Victorian London to Platform 5 in the year whenever. It just works so well. Christopher Eccleston's outfit, to a point, I think it's just one of the best outfits for the Doctor, just for...
The character it is.
Exactly, because it just fits who he is. Can you imagine him in a suit?
No. It's like that bit where you see him with the top hat, like...
Yeah, exactly. Jackie Tyler, you immediately know what she's about in just a one-liner. Bye, Rose, just in the bit where, because you realise
I'm a tart.
Rose Tyler, you tart. I love the end of that chapter in the novelisation. About Jackie Tyler, and there's not really many words shared, but you know what their family situation is, because as soon as Rose leaves, she goes to the phone. She's a single mother. She's seeing someone on the side. The tune that's on in that moment, Westminster Bridge, in my opinion, my favourite Doctor Who track ever. It just works. But I feel it was great doing Westminster Bridge because it fits the tone of what Series 1 was and what the series is. I talked way too much about this episode. Clive, the best side character in Doctor Who ever, completely and utterly, just for how engaging he is, how relatable he is. Yeah. This was Doctor Who for girls and boys. Just this is it, and this is Doctor Who in the 21st century updated.
Speaking of reboots, number 3, 11th Hour.
Yeah, and this was one of mine before.
I just think this is how you do a Doctor introduction.
Yeah.
Apart from Spear from Space, this is the one what comes close to it.
Yeah.
I don't mean to crap on Woman Who Fell to Earth, but it feels completely different because it's the same duration, 65 minutes. You watch Woman Who Fell to Earth, it feels completely different place, and this is literally bang, 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 things are happening.
Yeah.
Even the cooking scene, it's quick. It sets up the whimsical fairy tale nature of this series with the whole imaginary friend, or it just has that whimsical feel of meeting this little girl.
Completely.
And it's just a really unique way of introducing a companion, and the Doctor. It's just brilliant, just full of energy. It's just a Doctor you latch onto straight away, and by the end of the story, you know what his Doctor's about, and that's what you want. You're like, I want to travel with him.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's already solidified there. And there's great bits of humour. The whole fact that, we've only got so many minutes to save the world, like, it doesn't rely on the alien threat, but I just love the sense of urgency throughout, to keep on punching you throughout. It's just, I just love it.
I was 10 when that came out, and you were 12?
Yeah,
or 11?
Yeah, 11 or 12.
So I was 10, and it just completely captured my imagination. Just the first half of Series 5. Just about all of Series 5, captured a 10-year-old.
People who say Matt Smith's a bad Doctor, watch the first half of Series 5 and look how solid he is. Like, The Weeping Angels, his first story, he's fucking nailing it.
He worked perfectly as the fairy tale Doctor. Just again, it's a genre-breaking episode, isn't it?
It's the first radical change in the new series. It's like we've got a new TARDIS, new Doctor, new companion. Everything's new, and that's exciting. It's a real big shake-up because Tennant, it just felt like you're watching the same old series, but this felt very radical. The visual palette of this series is very different. Yeah,
I love the whole blue theme of the episode. You know, it's got a little blue filter on it.
Yeah,
he's wearing blue, and
Amy's kitchen's blue,
and the hospital, the Atraxi's blue. Yeah, and it just
that's done right. That is that bit where there have been so many invasions, and it's like that's done right. It's like that's so exciting. The music. I am the Doctor. I forgot how much I love it.
Is there a more perfect, like, just little introduction to what the Doctor's about? No. Kid in the garden getting the dream what every kid has of the TARDIS landing.
I just love the idea of, like, I told you it'd be 20 minutes and, like, just, you know, to prove he gets an apple. It's just great. It's just so beautiful.
It's not even brown.
I just love it. Just shows what Series 5 is. It's got that lovely fairy tale feel. Like, from the word go, he's the Doctor.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best characterization of the 11th Doctor, and it's just, he never had better hair than this episode.
No.
His hair was on point for this episode.
Oh, Jamie, it's number 2.
My number 2 is one that everyone loves when they watch it, but they always forget, it seems, immediately after they have finished it.
Okay.
And when they move on, and then this one just, it's always kind of a underappreciated classic, and it is Paul Cornell's masterpiece, Father's Day.
Oh, that's an honourable mention for me.
Yeah.
Honourable mention for me.
So we'll just talk about it now, I guess.
Yeah, I think that this story has a lot of oh crap moments. Like you've got the Doctor dying within it, and you've got the bones crunching. You've got the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the get to the church. And just
the touch the baby. Seeing her dad again. The paradox when you see both of them in the same place.
It's just great because you feel like the Doctor has finally been healed. He's finally the Doctor we love.
Yeah.
But this is where we see him going, oh no, I'm broken.
This episode's like Shameless on Sci-Fi, with like the attitude of Skins or something like that. It's so modern and refreshing. The visual of seeing the Doctor hand around the corner and then it does the one shot, and when you can see the normal Rose and Doctor from before. That's just a wonderful shot, and you see all like the happy face in the background, political climate at the time, on newspaper clippings of what's going on. It feels like the 1980s with the grey tone of it, because it's honest about what
peach colour as well with Jackie's dress. It's very 80s.
It's honest about what the 80s was. It doesn't glamorify it, because the 80s and the 70s, they were a sucky time for living in Britain.
Political wise, yeah.
Exactly, and Thatcher ended up just cutting everyone's wages. Everything.
When you got the North-South divide, that's when that really kicked off.
Everything went to shit. Ireland was at war, and I think putting it around people who lived in a housing, just people who lived in the States, and these East End areas of London. It allows such wonderful character and just real life people. Again, it's one of the reasons why a lot of these are just about character, because I think that's what Doctor Who, when it's good at character, it's great at. Because sometimes it's very hard to get relatable characters.
I think Jackie's very interesting, because when you watch Jackie, it's like, oh, she really glamorises Pete, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But in this episode, like, he's a lump of lard, really. I just think it's so nice how she kind of just becomes very glamorised by Pete.
It's a little...
Your dad was the best. And then she's going to, Rose is revisiting that.
Yeah. It's a bit of a commentary on grief and how we react afterwards. Like, even people we don't like, say if in real life they die, you're like, oh, they were great. The aspect of losing a parent, it's a very 21st century thing to be open about that as well, and to have single dads, mums. That was a massive thing on television at the time, really coming into why they wanted Russell, because they knew he could produce these stories with such a diverse background, and Paul Cornell having a writer like him, who RTD obviously idolises because he's a massive New Adventures nerd. completely right decision because Paul Cornell knows characters. He
He's
knows
a safe pair of hands, really, as a
Yeah.
writer for Doctor Who.
he knows settings and how to immerse a character in them, whether it's 1913 or the 80s, like here.
Yeah.
The line where the man says, you know, can you save us? He's like, yeah, I'll try. And it's beautiful. It describes exactly who the Doctor is, and it's in that shot where the Reaper is in the church and he literally pushes everyone behind, and he, you know, sometimes self-sacrifice can be a bit of a trope. You're like, oh no, take me, but you utterly believe that
He's got this under control.
Yeah, that he would sacrifice everybody for, you know, he would sacrifice himself to save everybody, and he just says, you know, I'm the oldest thing in this room, and it absorbs him, and then it knocks the TARDIS key, and then it's gone. Your thoughts like, shit. What are they going to do? And then when he comes back, when time is snapped back because the paradox is over, and time repairs itself, and he steps out and he grabs his hand in the church, and it's just a marvellous set of sequences. It's one that you rarely appreciate. Eccleston's Doctor, his acting capabilities, Billy Piper's acting capabilities. It's wonderful to see Jackie quite drastically different. Instead of the hopeful kind of naughty person, she's very cynical because obviously she got a failing marriage with a person who isn't successful, really, and he pretends he is. And she doesn't trust him because she has little things of like he's been getting off with other girls and things like that, and seeing other people behind her back. It's just so real world and grim, in my opinion. It's the likeable Rose really is. I guess really she didn't have time to react when Pete was putting the baby in her hands, and obviously it was that thing of, oh, I can do this. It was her own little selfish things of wanting to be close to her dad that she forgets literally what the doctor said. And Pete Tyler, he wisens up and he realises who she is because he saw all this mad shit going on, so he's like, well, who else can this person be? Time travel should be a thing. So it's obviously her. And he feels that, and he's like, it's all my fault now. I'm your dad, it's on me. And it's just what a generation needs, and it speaks to so many people, and I think that is why it's just my second favourite New Who episode. Definitely my top 10 definitely my top 10 Doctor Who episodes ever. I'm not sure if we're in top 5, but Christ, it's rarely in there, and I think it's why Series 1 is just the best series Doctor Who's ever had.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's your number 2?
New Teeth. It's Bad Wolf Part in Ways.
Yeah. This is my number 1.
So we'll discuss that.
Right now.
We know what your number 1 is.
Yeah, we can bounce off with this, and it is Bad Wolf and the Part of the Ways. I think this is the only New Who story that I would put in my top 5 Doctor Who stories ever. It is possibly the greatest Dalek story ever, joint with Remembrance.
Definitely in the new series, definitely.
Yeah, I think definitely the best representation of the Daleks in the new series, and it was all downhill from there. As it shows the Daleks as a complete and utter killing force.
Well, they're not VOG what they were in Dalek, because Russell's like, we're made a bit too much, but, you know, they're still great, because I think why the Daleks work so well in this, because they're shot right.
Yes.
Because Satellite 5 is grim, it's dungy, you know, it's dark, and the darker bronze of the Daleks within that just match the palette of that.
And they're always in shadows, so you don't see the cheapness of the props and the limitations of the
fiberglass. Captain
fiberglass.
Jack's death, where you get it, because you've just got the free there and it's all in shadow. It's beautifully done.
That whenever you think about Part of the Ways in the Daleks in that story, it's that shot, that sequence. And the Dalek ship as well is shot magnificently, because when you get to Series 2, bright lights, and they're filming that forever. Yeah. Pretty much. And
apart from Series 3, when you've got them in the little sewer bit.
See, I still don't think that's lit properly. I still think it's got... I just think they still look really cheap. But in this, it's the detail on the bronze and the grunginess to them around.
Daleks, and they'll just be wheeled out to every exhibition.
And obviously, like, after this, you know, we wheeled about exhibitions and stuff like that. So by Series 3, beat up, and by Series 7, they're just falling apart, really. But it's the best these Daleks ever looked. Dalek in this, best they've ever looked. Shot completely right with the same just camera angles. and the emptiness of the eye, focusing on that. Rose as a character really just, again, possibly her best story.
I love that bit where she's at home and she's like, Mom, you don't understand. He's out there fighting.
Yeah.
And I just love that because she's just sat there eating chips.
Yeah.
And it's just such a brilliant moment that that's all happening in the future, but she's so helpless.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's that time is linear. Like, all of time could happen all at once.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like to live in the TARDIS. All the time happens at once, and you just hip-hop
Yeah.
going back and forth. Because you always think about what's happening at home. It's right now that fight is happening. And it's something that Jackie and Mickey just can't understand until she points out to her. Why do you have to sit your second? Like, what do you love about this story?
I just think it's so 2005, isn't it? Bad
Yeah.
Wolf, especially because you've got Big Brother, which is still going now, isn't it? I think it's still going.
It's just ended.
Just ended. You know, you've got the odd one. What's Trini and Susanna? Like, that's not going. Weakest Link, that was a big thing, and just the android. It's got one of the best cliffhangers I think in the show's history. I do not care what anybody says. It's just such a powerful cliffhanger. The idea that the Daleks are taking these game contestant people and turning them into essentially what the Toclafane are.
Yeah.
Because they are, that's what the Toclafane are.
Humans.
And it's the Doctor reliving the Time War. This is Time War 2. He's got the choice of destroying the Earth, which is basically what he did with Gallifrey.
Yeah.
At that point, we didn't know it was Little Pocket Universe. But, you know, it's the Doctor going, right, and it's the Dalek Emperor playing going, right, that Dalek said you were, you know, good enough to be a Dalek. So this is the Doctor going, shit, they got me again.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Doctor going, look, I'm a coward, I can't do it.
Yeah, coward. Any day.
Yeah.
It's
This is
a
him realising.
powerful line, completely.
Because you feel like if he didn't have met Rose, he would have...
Yeah.
Plunger would have been gone.
He would have destroyed the Earth. You know, the year 5 billion wouldn't have happened. And I think it was something for Rose to stand up to just everything to the universe and give it a big fuck you. And the big yellow truck bringing that Jackie, like, it is what your dad would want. I know you were there and you're doing exactly what he would be proud of you for. And again, it just speaks to so many people, that line. And she just utterly believes in this man because he kept her safe.
Yeah.
That's what he promised he would do. In Aliens in London in World War III, he promised that he would keep her safe, and that's what she's finally returning to him. And then the build up to the scene that it's breaking.
I love the hologram scene.
Oh, I know.
That's tragic.
Yes.
That was a good life.
Two completely contrasting things, like the big action build up to the bursting of the heart, and then before that just the completely and utter somber dramatic scene of entropy with the Doctor. And it's like, I promised to keep you safe, and I think he would have recorded that message after Aliens in London when he realised that shit, she can go.
Exactly.
So I better put in this protocol because she's my responsibility. And it's even more sad when RTD wrote that line for a Series 1 failed. Yeah. That let this little box die, and it'll soon just become a thing that people will forget about, bury it into the ground, and it's just
heartbreaking stuff, isn't it?
Exact. And Eccleston, the way the way that's directed and the sound design to it, where it's very ghostly with it sounds like a recording, but then he turns because he knows where she would be, because he knows her already that well, and he says, "Have a good life," and the distortion's gone. Yeah. Have a fantastic life, and it's exactly just what the Doctor would say, and it's why Eccleston just absolutely a perfect Doctor.
I just feel like he's just got the perfect run. Like, for a Doctor, it's just...
people, you always have to think of, I wish he could have done more, but you know what? One series and he done
nailed it
more than pretty much any Doctor in just one series. He was the full article from beginning to end, and you are satisfied. I watched that series as a marathon, and it is the most satisfying experience I've ever had watching Doctor Who, watching that series start to finish. It's just a story of tragedy and loss and healing from that, and the hope that you can bring from that. it's a stunning work of art and absolute just prime
And
television.
The regeneration's done well because it's not. This is sad.
Yeah.
He goes out with a smile. He's like,
Yeah.
don't worry, I'll be all right.
The music,
no, it's-
yeah, the music's not telling you to be
Yeah.
sad. The music's optimistic.
Yeah.
It's joining with exactly what the Doctor's feeling. It's Murray Gold completely at its best. The the direction's just fantastic. People say that it's not aged well because Trinity 2000's on TV, Week's Legs on TV, and now Big Brother's been cancelled. But
You understand what it is.
yeah, but it still fits into the category of
Sinister game shows.
just reboots and shows being constantly brought back. And Crystal Maze was brought back, and you can imagine in 100,000 years them going back and still doing Big Brother, bringing it back, trying TV shows. You got Corrie 3000, whatever, and it's that the sickness that society can get into with enjoying watching people
Lives, really.
die. Really,
Yeah.
it's vengeance on Varos done right,
right.
and this is political commentary, just done absolutely superb, and it's completely at the heart of what Doctor Who still is and what it's always been about, and it's just voicing the alternatives and saying what's what.
Yeah.
So that was my number one, your number two. So what is your actual fully number one?
My number one is Vincent and the Doctor. I definitely think that it's one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who in its entirety. I watched it a couple of weeks ago and I just forgot how good it is. It's one of those episodes where you realise is good,
Yeah.
but then you watch and you just realise there is so much more to this. The idea of the Croface. It might look like a dinosaur chicken, but the meaning behind it is that only Vincent can see it. That's depression.
Yeah.
That is depression. This thing what only you can see. And it's just so beautiful that, the Doctor and Amy can't help him, but if we can make his life a little bit better for one day, then let's do it. And I think the ending is so powerful. I feel like it's the best use of pop music in Doctor Who. It really it's not to make the scene sad. It uplifts you that his memory lives on. It's a story what can only be done once, which you can't go, oh, here's a really lovely character what gets forgotten about in history. This is the story you can only do once, and I just think it's so beautiful. The direction, the idea of Amy sad, and she doesn't know why she's sad because of Rory.
Yeah.
It's the Doctor taking on day trips to forget why she's sad because
Yeah.
she doesn't know. There are so many beautiful things that link into the actual series of this episode. But as a standalone episode, it works so well. It's got comedy with the Doctor trying to see the Croface. Don't worry, I can see it. And he's just been flung about. It's so powerful. And the death of the Croface. Oh, it's just so sad that it's just this vicious creature who's just lost from home.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love it.
And it's educational to kids, and I think it's year 2 is when I learned about Vincent van Gogh and study him, drawn, painted sunflowers, and we planted sunflowers literally because of this guy. And the kids all over the country in year 2 or whenever you done that in infant primary school, whatever, it's because of this one person. And imagine telling him that like kids are planting sunflowers
Because of you.
Yeah, because of you and in memory of you.
I love the idea. It was like, take my hand, Doctor, hold my hand,
Yeah.
and see the world through my eyes, and you just see the starry
Yeah.
night painting.
Exactly.
It's just beautifully done. It's tastefully done.
Yeah,
Like it's honouring the memory of the person.
exactly. And it just summarises mental health in a very sensitive way. Now, this is part of my honourable mentions, which I'm sure we'll just quickly go over. In my opinion, I don't think you can summarise all of the mental health aspects of Vincent van Gogh in this monster. I just don't like the monster. That's just my thing. I think this really could have worked just as Vincent van Gogh. And
I feel like that's there for kids because I feel like otherwise it's a very heavy episode.
Yeah. It's one that it's very hard to get around. It'd take a very talented writer to actually pull it off without a monster. But for me, depression, schizophrenia, and all these things, it's too complex of a thing to summarise in this one monster. And it's not going to go away because he's defeated the monster that's plagued him. Whatever. He's not seen as crazy because of the monster. He's seen as crazy because he's completely different to everyone else. I love the way that the social aspect is set at the beginning of the episode.
Throwing stones when like, that person dies, like,
and in
just show how bad it is.
And in the cafe, he's kicked out.
Yeah.
And like, oh, not him. You're not looking for him.
And like one of your paintings, like, don't worry, I can have a drink with whoever I want. It's just so. I just love it. And
the set team, they done a superb job of recreating his room from that painting. And the bed is just carved wonderfully. They went all out for that. The casket scene where you see that a person's died and seeing the culture at that time and the dress sense, it just puts you back into that world. It keeps reminding you of what it was. So yeah, I can completely see that as the best new series episode. And what I really love is having the song at the end. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not for be sad like most Murray Gold music. This is, don't worry, this is hopeful, because you've got the lovely speech by what's his name? Dr. Bill Nye, who plays Dr. Black, is it? Oh, Dr. Black. And he's basically just praising Van Gogh for this silly man who, you know, wandered around the fields, you know, painting silly pictures, and like the realization when he realizes it's Vincent's like, what is that actually him? That's where he's blown it up, was just from a moment he believed that was Vincent van Gogh. And it was such a thing to bring Doctor Who into the 2010s, that just having that song there. And it's why I really liked Rise Up in Rosa, because it just made it feel so modern. And RTD reinvented Doctor Who for the 21st century, for the 2000s. Moffat reinvented it for the 2010s, and I think that it's a massive achievement to do that and keep the spirit of the show going from the momentum of the David Tennant era, and to keep freshening it up in ways like that episode. I feel like there's an episode for each Doctor where what sums up their era. I feel like Vincent and the Doctor sums up the 11th Doctor. It's fairy tale. It's 2010s in a nutshell, really. Yeah. It's absolutely stellar performances. Toby Curran is the definitive Van Gogh for me. I know that there's been just a film that came out about Van Gogh, but Toby is the Van Gogh to me. He just looks it. Despite the Scottish accent when he's meant to be Dutch, but who cares? Who cares? Everyone's got a British accent there. TARDIS translation circuit. Ultimate ginge. Exactly. It's beautiful. Amy breaks up the episode really well, trying to encourage him to paint the sunflowers. She's like, do you see anything? And it's like, no, they're quite depressing. And I like the for Amy. On the thing that's... and it shows that time isn't always meant to happen, because you've got time's always in flux, that's what I mean. And it shows that he impacted her life. So my honourable mentions, they were Vincent and the Doctor. My other one was Rosa, because inherently one of the best drama pieces television for last year. And it's up for award, isn't it? So it's great. And I think I voted for it for the is it NTA Awards? I don't know what it is. But I think it completely deserves it. It was inherently the best drama episode of Series 11. Best Doctor Who episode was Kablam, but I think those two were just the best episodes. It brought Doctor Who going into the 2020s. It just feels like it's just such a modern and also ahead of its time thing to talk about issues that were spoken about in the episode with such... It didn't shy away from it, that's what I liked. Exactly, we just such broadness to it. That I think just gelled well perfectly. I also had School Reunion on there for what we're talking about. Another one of mine was The Woman Who Fell to Earth, for the simple fact of that, holy hell, it actually managed to do a female Doctor that people worried about for years and win a lot of people over. It didn't win you over. No, I didn't think much of it, to be honest. But for me, I felt that it was a complete and utter breath of fresh air. I would not put it in the top 10. It might not get the top 15, but I just wanted to just talk about just how, for me, it nailed the tone and characterization of the Doctor. And in my opinion, Jodie Whittaker is the best in those first 3 episodes. It feels like that those were the episodes that were, given to the writers of the books in order to get a feel for who this character is. And because she's very blunt, and I think those first 3 episodes, but also very hopeful as well. I really like the villain of Tim Shaw, which people I think really shit on him a bit too much, and people are like, oh yeah, but It Takes You Away should have been finale. If It Takes You Away was the finale, you all would have moaned, you would have bitched and moaned because it didn't have a big universal threat. And again, the universal threat was disappointing from Ranks of Colours, but you could not have had a finale that wasn't Tim Shaw. Because even though he was a bit naff in it, I feel it was the only possible finale you could have done. Because you have the arcs for everybody, come to almost a close with Grace, and then it finally seals the door for realising that revenge isn't the option in Battle Ranks, of course. But just for this, it just gripped me. It's a really fun episode to watch. I've watched it about 3-4 times. 10 million views is a fantastic figure. Doctor Who. Doctor Who's very healthy in the ratings. If you disagree, you don't know how ratings work, because the more audience you get, it will mean the more casual audience you get, and the more casual audiences means the more people that will just naturally drop off.
Well, my honourable mentions were Vampires in Venice, because I just think that it's one of those episodes where I just think Toby Whithouse as the next showrunner for me. He's the person I wanted to take over Moffat, because I feel like he got the flavour of Series 5. And I just like vampire stories in general. I feel like it was a nice twist on vampire stories. And the whole idea, it's just brilliant. I like it. And I think Partners in Crime.
Yeah.
I just love Tennant and Tate within it.
Yeah, I recently watched that the other night.
I just love the score of them just walking down the street and it's just how they just, miss each other by the smallest little thing.
Yeah, it's directly fantastic. Like, think of all the little side characters who have missed the Doctor like that. Clive may have came close to like the 7th Doctor, the 8th Doctor, or whatever. I think
it's fluff, but it's so good fluff.
Yeah.
Like, it's forgettable fluff, but once you watch it, you're like, why have I forgot about this?
Every time you watch it, it just brings you back to being 8 or 10. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Heaven Sent is... it's got to be there just for Capaldi for 50 minutes shouting on his own. I think it's just beautiful. Yeah.
For me, it's not an episode that I can just put on. It's one of those that you really need to get invested in the arc.
It's one where you've literally got to go, right, I'm going to watch this tonight. It's one where you just can't go, I fancy watching a Capaldi. It's not one of those.
For me, Face the Raven, that episode of where he became properly the Doctor, and they rarely understood his character. And it was just nice to get away from Clara for a bit. And I think that's why we really love Bill, because I think Capaldi is best when he's either brooding on his own or being youthful and old with another...
we could have like 5 series of him just being the lecturer.
Yeah, literally. I think I just say on Twitter all the time that I could have had 5 years of Bill and 12.
Love them too.
It was a wonderful. But Heaven Sent.
Heaven Sent.
It's the deadly assassin for Capaldi, isn't it? On his own.
Very much is. My next honourable one is Mommy on the Orange Express. It's that classic feel. I love The Foretold. I think it's beautifully designed. Yeah. Wonderful costume. I just think it's just for me, that's when Capaldi became the Doctor for me. Really? Like, that's when I was just like, I like him.
Unfortunately for me, I've never really liked it. Like, I think it's... I've recently rewatched it, like, maybe October, and I like it up until like the reveal of it just being at the science station. I'm just like, ugh. I don't know, it just...
I just think it's a visually nice episode.
It is
you've got a really nice speech at the end about choices, but some choices you make are not always right, but you still have to choose.
Yeah.
I think that's my honourable mentions really, and Father's Day, what we've talked about.
Yeah.
So those are my honourable mentions.
Yeah, it's been quite a fun video, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed just talking about New Who for a change instead of going... Let's talk about 1963 to 1989.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's a nice bit of just content change. It's just
everybody likes top 10.
Yeah, it's just nice to have a bit of a New Who ramble, because you've been rewatching bits, I've been rewatching it in a straight linear order. It's a massive part of our childhood. Just the reason,
it's a version of the show what got us into it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a lot to thank it for.
Yeah, and it's got
forever in debt of it.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of great stuff. This goes well. We may even do a worst one.
Gosh, yeah. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
because we've got so.
There's going to be no series 1 on there because that's perfect, untouchable, and yeah,
there we are. So I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you whenever.
Yeah, subscribe to me, don't forget. But
I'll link in the description below because that's what I do.
Yeah, like a cheeky plug.
A cheeky plug there. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.